Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana
Vavasangrihe. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Kamam arthang cha dharman swan. Dagdi bhuya pipartitan. Please chant. Great, yeah. Dharmane vavasangrihe. Kamamartam cha dharmang swan. Dagdibhuya pipartitan. Word by word. Kapilu vacha. Lord Kapila said, Ata, now, Yaha, the person who, Grihimediyan, of the householders, or the apartment holders. Dharman, duties. Eva, certainly. Avasan, living. Grihe, at home. Kamam, sense gratification. Artam, economic development. Cha, and Dharman, religious rituals. Swan, his. Dagdi, enjoys. Bhuyaha, again and again. Piparti, performs. Tan, them. So there's a saying by Chanakya Pandit, says that a handsome man without any good qualities is just like a flower without a scent, fragrance. So it's not of much. Most flowers these days don't have much of a scent, and I could see that a lot of people don't have any noble, good qualities. So. It's a translation. The personality of God had said, the person who lives in the center of household life derives material benefits by performing religious rituals, and thereby he fulfills his desire for economic development and sense gratification. Again and again he acts the same way. Purport. There are two kinds of householders. One is called the Griha Medi, and the other is called the Grihasta. The objective of the Griha Medi is sense gratification, and the objective of the Grihasta is self-realization. Here, the Lord is speaking about the Griha Medi, or the person who wants to remain in this material world. His activity is to enjoy material benefits by performing religious rituals for economic development. and thereby ultimately satisfy the senses. He does not want anything more. Such a person works very hard throughout his life to become very rich and eat very nicely and drink. By giving some charity for pious activity, he can go to a higher planetary atmosphere in the heavenly planets in this next life. But he does not want to stop the repetition of birth and death and finish with the concomitant miserable factors of material existence. Such a person is called a grihamedi. Or I could say a fool. A grihasta is a person who lives with family, wife, children, and relatives, but has no attachment for them. He prefers to live in family life rather than as a mendicant or sannyasi. But his chief aim is to achieve self-realization or to come to the standard of Krishna consciousness. Here, however, Lord Kapila is speaking about the grihamedis, who have made their aim the materialistically prosperous life, which they achieve by sacrificial ceremonies, by charities, and by good work. They are posted in good positions, and since they know that they are using up their assets of pious activities, they again and again perform activities of sense gratification. It is said by Prahlad Maharaj, Punat Punashchar Vitachar Vananam. They prefer to chew the already chewed. Again and again they experience the material pangs. Even if they are rich and prosperous, but they do not want to give up this kind of life. Om Nagana Tivanandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshila Malitamina Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha Mukam Kativa Jalam Pangam Mangai Gidim Yak Pipa Tamaham Vande Shri Guru Indina Tanam Vancha Kapatri Bisha Kipa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaurabhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I read the translation again. The personality of God had said, the person who lives in the center of household life derives material benefits by performing religious rituals and thereby fulfills his desire for economic development and sense gratification. Again and again he acts the same way. So everyone in this material world, practically speaking, they have expectations. They have expectations for others, how others will treat them, and they have expectations how they will reach a certain success point in their life, and they have expectations of how they will become happy and different things. So all these expectations. Now in Kali Yuga, the particular age we're living in, which is considered to be the Iron Age, it's not the Gold Age, not the Golden Age, and of course Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the 10,000 year. But in Kali Yuga, what do we really expect? So, if we expect a lot from others, if we expect a lot from ourselves, I mean, what can we really expect? In other words, it's a messed up age. So, what do we expect? And here we're hearing about the grihamedi. So the grihamedi, or they say the grihamedis, because there are a lot of grihamedis, the materialistic householders. And so, yeah, it's to be expected. This is something within Kali Yuga, within this material world. It's to be expected that people fall within this category, or that they are in this fallen category. They fall within the category, and then they're in a fallen category. And what is the category? Is that their only interest is economic development, sense gratification. In other words, they want money, and they want to satisfy their material senses. That's all they want. So here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada's mentioning that in the good old days, of course, or you could say in the days of yore, or the more traditional days, they would perform certain activities, religious activities, to fulfill their sense of gratification in their economic development. Now, of course, nowadays, some people do that. It's not completely extinct, but more and more people are not doing that. In other words, they don't go to God they don't go to Krishna for their material needs. They figure it out themselves. Of course, right, we have within the Hindu groups, within the Christian groups, within the Muslim groups, we have, like that Om, they sing that verse, that Om Jai Jagadisha Hare, Om Jai Jagadisha Hare. And then devotees sometimes say, oh, give me a car and a house by the sea. Om Jai Jagadisha Hare, like that. So they're praising Jagadish, right? Jaga, the universe, Dish, Lord, the Lord of the universe. They're praising Krishna. But what's going on within their mind? Oh, please give me a car and a big, nice car and a nice house by the sea, right, by the ocean. Jai Jagadisha Hari. So, and you can say that this is a mundane conception of religion. They just want material things. They don't love Krishna. They love what Krishna could give them. But it's better than nothing, and it's in some sense good. Of course, it's not good for those who actually, those who want to reach the standard of pure devotional service, and those who know what it's about. It's not very good, but for them, in one sense, it's good. But it's not an elevated platform. And then you have sometimes, right, on the Christians, on the television. There's so many. Within America, actually, there's so many TV stations that have preachers on them, Christian preachers. And they'll get up there and they'll say all types of things. They'll say, oh, big audience on the TV, on the television, on the actual show where he's speaking, but also people watching all over the country. And they'll say, yes, and Jesus blessed me because I just got this nice new car last week, and praise the Lord. And people get up there and praise the Lord, praise the Lord. But they're just after material, they're after matter again. So it's not a glorious state. So that's the Griha Medis. They're just interested in money and gratifying their senses. So, of course, every conditioned soul in this material world, they're being burnt over and over and over again. So we could say that the material energy is just like fire. Just like fire. So if we try to play with fire, then what happens, Jamal? You get burnt, right? You play with fire, you get burnt. So that's with us trying to associate intimately with material energy, as we get burnt. And we suffer. So, and how many times do we have to get burnt before we understand something? How many times do we have to suffer before we actually understand something? What do you think? How many times? What do you think, Abhinanda Prabhu? How many times do we have to get burnt before we understand something, before we learn the lesson?
Good question. Depends on the person. Minimum at least one time.
Yeah, at least once, 3 times, or it could take hundreds or thousands or millions of times. Get out and learn the lesson. So, yeah. But that's how it is, that we have to suffer in order to learn a lot of the times. And just like that horrible example, right? You know what they do with dogs? You know, when the dog does its business in the house? Yeah. The dog passes stool, right, in the house. And that's not good, obviously. I mean, on the carpet, it gets the carpet all dirty. It's disgusting. Even materialistic people, that's disgusting. So what do they do to the dog to make it help it learn its lesson? They grab the dog's face, right, the head of the dog, and they put it in that, you know. And then the dog realized, okay, I better not do this again. Why? Because even it's disgusting to him too. It's unpleasant. So, of course, that's a graphic example. It's a really horrible example. But the point is, same with us, is that we have to suffer a lot of the time to actually learn something. But interesting enough is that if we remain, or if we're too dull, if our brains are too dull, or if we're just too dull, we just don't get it and it happens over and over and over again. I had a friend, and he and his father wanted some money, so he decided to rob a bank. And it was a bank close to a mall, and what he did is he tried to rob the bank, and his getaway was a bicycle. It's weird, but his getaway was a bicycle. He held a gun to them, give me the money and whatever he got in his backpack or whatever, and then he hopped on the bike and took off. And of course, nowadays you can't get away on a bicycle. I mean, maybe like previously when, I don't know, there wasn't phones and they couldn't call the police, and no cars or something.
No helicopters.
Yeah, no helicopters. Because nowadays they just press a button, actually. Now, if there's some guy, you're being held up, and if you're a banker, they just press a button, and then the cops will come immediately.
Some of those foot patrols are pretty fast.
Yeah, so the cameras, just nowadays it's practically, you can't do it. What to speak of on a bike. So he was on a bike. I heard there's actually one devotee. He robbed a bank close by here years ago, and he was actually successful. He got the money, and he came back to the temple immediately. Came back to the temple, this temple. Well, he robbed the bank, and then right after robbing the bank, he came here immediately to the temple, and he was on the patio. Yeah, he was a devotee. Yeah, and he was doing it for Krishna. Just joking. That's not a good policy, but anyways, he whatever he was doing it for, he wanted money. And then he came back here, and there was a helicopter circling around, and they didn't find him, and he actually got away with it. But the problem is, what he did is he told a few people. That's always a problem. You tell people, because people like to talk, so they ratted him out. But anyways, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure he went to jail for some time. So my friend, he tried to rob a bank with, my friend's dad tried to rob a bank with a bicycle, and then he went to jail for many years. And then he got out, and he was out, and he was doing good, but then he tried to rob a bank again. And then he went back to jail, and he's probably still there now. Dull, yeah. So I don't know, maybe he liked being in jail. I mean, there's some weird psychology that they actually like being in jail. But whatever the case, it's even the idea of liking being in jail. That's also, you have to be kind of dull to like being in jail. I mean, you go outside for like 5 minutes a day. It's just horrible. Your freedom's restricted. So he was obviously a very dull person. And he didn't learn. So, in all of us, we have our lessons to learn. I mean, there's 4 of you right there, and there's me. We all have our lessons to learn. So, and until we learn those lessons, we're just going to keep on getting burnt over and over and over again. I'm sorry to say. And we're going to have to suffer over and over and over again until we get the lesson. But once we get the lesson, then, yeah. No more being burnt, no more suffering. So similarly with the Grihamedis, I mean, their whole aim is just materialism, money, and sense gratification, and they're getting burnt over and over and over again. They're suffering over and over and over again. So, but until they wake up, they'll continue to suffer. So, in the Bhagavatam, it describes, Shukadeva Goswami describes describes the Grihamedi a little more. So I'll just read those verses. Shruttavyadini Rajendra Nirnam Santi Sahasrashaha Apashyatam Atmatattvam Grihashu Grihamedinam. Says, those persons who are materially engrossed, being blind to knowledge of the ultimate truth, have many subject matters for hearing in human society. So they have, O Emperor, so they have many things to hear about. Everything besides Krishna. Right? Harry Potter, all types of different things. I don't know, all types, sports, politics, a whole bunch of big list of many things to listen to and hear and think about. But they don't think about Krishna. Like Harry Potter. I mean, Harry Potter. I never got into it, but it's a fictitious story about some kid and how he's a magician, right? But as far as I understand, they have many volumes, maybe 9, 10 volumes. It's almost like as big as the Bhagavatam. And these kids, they read that, but they don't read the Bhagavatam. Probably adults read that also, but so they don't hear about Krishna. This is the Grihamedi, the materially engrossed person. It says, Nidraya hridaye naktam vavayena chavavaha diva charte rajan kutamba baranena va. The lifetime of such envious householders passed at night, either in sleeping or in sex indulgence, and in the daytime either in making money or maintaining family members. So that's their whole life, making money and then sleeping, endeavoring for sex and all these things. Deha patya kaladrashvatma sanyeshu asatvapi tesham pramoto nidanam pashyanapi napashyati. So persons devoid of Atma Tattva do not inquire into the problems of life, being too attached to the fallible soldiers like the body, children, and wife. Although sufficiently experienced, they do not see their inevitable destruction. So yeah, they are super busy, like so busy we have a hard time understanding how busy they are actually, making money, maintaining their family members. And sleeping, when the opportunity arises, a lot of them, they really like that, sleeping. And sex indulgence. Endeavoring for it, thinking about it, meditating about it, planning for it. Their life is revolving around these activities. And because they're in such maya, such illusion, thinking about this and meditating and planning their life in such a way, they do not see that they're going to die. They don't have an idea that they're going to have to experience death. Although they've seen their father or mother die, or they've seen their grandfather or grandmother die, or they've seen their great grandfather and grandmother die, but they think, oh, I'm not going to die. So this is the power of illusion, because they're too attached to the fallible soldiers, the body, and so on. So this world that we're living in, it is full, packed, full of grihamedis, and very few grihastas. So what does that mean? That means that there's a lot of work for the Vaishnavas to do. There's a lot of work for us to do in relation to saving these people. And we should strive for that. We should strive for that. That the temple here, like Srila Prabhupada, he did not come to America. When Prabhupada came, actually, there's only few Indians in America. But Prabhupada came to preach to the Americans. He didn't come to preach to the Indians because there was hardly any here. And Prabhupada didn't want the temple to become like a Hindu mela or something. Mela? Mela means like a big gathering. Like in India they have Kumbh Mela, which there's millions of people who go. So I'm saying Hindu Mela, where there's a bunch of Indian people. Nothing wrong with Indian people, but Prabhupada came to America to preach to Americans. I mean, Indians are there too, but the point is that we have to reach out to everyone. Everyone. So why? Because there's so many griha medis, and they have to be saved. So, and what does that saving mean? It means that they have to be introduced somehow or other to Krishna through a book, through Harinam, through this, through that. So many different ways we can introduce them. And they have to be encouraged and inspired. Like, what is it? I keep on talking. I talk to people sometimes, younger people, youth, and they tell me different things. Oh, well, I'm going to this silent meditation retreat. I'm thinking, wow, this is very easy. You buy a plot of land, you create some facility that people could live in, and you cook some food, and then you charge them $250 to come and not talk. They just come and sit. Okay, you all be quiet, and we're going to charge you to be quiet. And we'll feed you something too. Maybe they have some classes too. Most of the time, it's a 10-day retreat. Silence. So people, they're interested in those types of things. Retreats, they're interested in yoga, they're interested in meditation, they're interested in vegetarianism, veganism. So devotees, all of these are coming actually from our tradition. These things, like in America, there's millions of people practicing yoga. Also, I don't know about the percentage of vegetarians, but there's a lot nowadays, in comparison to when Srila Prabhupada came in the 60s, very few. So, or kirtan, mantras, people, they know about mantras now. A lot of people are chanting in the yoga studios. So, as this is coming from our tradition, so as devotees we should also provide that facility for people. Set up retreats, set up different things to help them. And in this way they could actually be saved from this griha medi lifestyle, which is actually super pathetic. It is beyond pathetic. It is, I don't know what's beyond pathetic. It is horrible. It is absolutely sad. Why? Because, is life really just about making money? Is life really just about that momentary sex pleasure? Is life really about any of these things? Sleeping? No, that's not what life's about. That is a degraded life. That is practically like an animal life. They just animals. They just have sex and they eat and they sleep and that's it. It's a very low platform of consciousness. And devotees, whatever, we may still have our lingering attractions to different, mundane things, but we know we have some experience of the higher pleasure, and we know the potential that we have to reach that highest pleasure ultimately and be situated on that platform. So we know that. And therefore we know that this lifestyle that people are leading, the Griha Medi lifestyle, it's just horrible. We have that realization, or we should have that realization. So just as we were given the opportunity to engage in devotional service, to reach those higher platforms of consciousness, we should also try to help people. We should also give people opportunity. And that's what Prahlad Maharaj was all about. He was all about saving people, preaching. So yes, there are Griha Medis, there's Grihastas, and the main thing is that we want to be real, like, so the devotees who are grihastas, of course none of you are grihastas here, but the grihastas want to remain grihastas. They don't want to degrade to grihamedis, right? Because that could happen. The grihastas, they degrade to grihamedis. They stop chanting their rounds, right? Turn on the television, get fired up, and all but focusing on money, whatever it is. And then they more or less become grihamedis. Forget about Krishna. And the brahmacharis also. The brahmacharis, they don't want to degrade into, I don't know what you call it. I don't know another word for false brahmacharis. Kamacharis, yeah, there you go. Good one. I was thinking mamacharis. But then I was thinking, how would I relate that? Mamacharis, but anyways. Mamacharis, I guess you could say irresponsible, right? And they want the mom to do everything for them, or whatever, I don't know. But let's say kamacharis, that's a good one. So kama is lust, and right? Living on the platform of lust, practically. Like brahmachari means to live on the platform of spirit, the Brahman, right? So kamachari lives on the platform of lust. So we don't want to degrade into kamacharis, which is very, I mean, it's like really easy actually in this age for a grihasta to degrade to grihamedin, for a brahmachari to degrade into kamachari. Super easy. I mean, wherever you go, wherever you look practically, it's just encouraging, inspiring, trying to fire us up to degrade our consciousness. So yeah, it is a challenge. It's a challenge, and we could become strong by associating with Lord Kapiladev. Like right here, we're associating with Lord Kapiladev through the message of the Bhagavatam. We're associating with Prabhupada through the message of the Bhagavatam. And if we associate with them enough, just as if we associate with, like, if we associate with materialists enough, we'll definitely fall down from grihasta to grihamedi, or from brahmachari to kamachari. So similarly, if we associate with Lord Kapiladev, if we associate with Srila Prabhupada, if we associate with those in the same light or in the same line, then what will happen? We will actually become strong and elevated. And then we're good. We're good to go. There's no, practically speaking, there's no chance for us to fall back again into the clutches of this type of unfortunate situation, whatever the grihamedi, kamachari situation. But we are situated nicely. So, does anyone have any questions or comments? Yes, Jamal. Yeah. Oh, okay.
7.3
Oh, really?
worldwide, there are
7.3 million? Really? In America?
7.3 million.
Oh, wait. 7.3 million adults.
What's the year?
You want 2018? 22.8 million, huh? How many people are live in America? 320 million? I mean, when Prabhupada came, yeah, like, who was vegetarian? Probably just a few. Like, literally, probably just a few. And same with yoga. I mean, there was practically a few ashrams in America, New York City, practicing yoga. I don't think there's any vegetarian restaurants or anything like that. So, or was there?
I think so, because
What do you think, Avinanda? You were there, living in those times.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean,
Were there vegetarian restaurants?
were there?
Yeah,
Very rare.
very rare. So there's a few here and there,
Yes, in cool places.
in cool places, yeah. Like New York.
College towns or New York,
Okay.
certain neighborhoods, certain cool cities.
Yeah, but nowadays it's more
Even in SanDiego,
widespread.
Los Angeles, San Francisco,
Yeah.
Or, I don't know about the rest of the country, New York,
Yeah.
generally, no.
Yeah. One devotee was telling me, Jai Chaitanya from LA, he was telling me that there's kind of an epidemic, there's a bit of an epidemic, is that a good word? In U.S.
I got a statistic.
Okay.
It says in the United States in 1971, 1% of United States citizens described themselves as vegetarians.
Mm.
In 2008, 3.2% and 0.5% vegan. While in 2013, 13%
Mm.
are either vegetarian or vegan.
Mm. Interesting.
What is it?
Nice.
Well,
It's increasing.
getting better.
It's good. Yeah,
I
this.
heard 10 years ago, when I was in Vrindavan, that 10% of the population of the UK were vegetarian.
Interesting. Yeah, this devotee Jai Chaitanya in LA, he was telling me that there's an epidemic going on in America and that people are lonely. Specifically at the universities and colleges. He said that 63% of the students report that they're suffering. And it's not just like, you'd say kind of lonely, it means they're actually suffering, like heavily, from loneliness. And interesting thing about statistics is that you get statistics by people revealing how they're feeling. Sometimes you get statistics like that. So that means some people, they don't reveal how they feel. And there's a lot of people like that. They keep it inside. So practically it's probably even more than that. You know, whatever, I don't know, 70%. That's a lot. Even 63%, that's a majority of the students. And why is that? I mean, so many reasons, but due to, I don't know, due to social media and this and that, so many impersonalism, people are feeling lonely. So yeah, it's a good time to be a person. It's a good time to be personal with people, and it's a good time to be personalist, you know, because people are seeing the horrible effects of impersonalism. So we could engage them in Krishna consciousness in a personal way, because we're personalists, and in this way actually help students. I mean, there's the SDSU close by, and they have a Buddhist group there, and many loungers, there's probably, over the last 2 months, there's been about 15 of them who stopped by at the lounge. They're all part of that group at the Buddhist club, SDSU. And some of them still, they come to the lounge every week. Some of them don't, but some of them do. They come every week. So they were telling me that what's that place downtown? It's Dharma Center, Dharma Bum Center, I think it's called. So he's telling me that the main guy there, which I forgot his name, but he goes there personally and he holds meditation classes and all that. And he said that it's getting quite big. It's like 50 to 100 students at this Buddhist club. Of course, there's thousands of students at SDSU, but still it's pretty good. And all he does is, you know, they have a meditation session. They play music in the background, whatever, nature sounds. And then he guides them through this breathing meditation, whatever he does. And then he gives some wisdom talk or something. And then they go, I think they go on nature hikes. And also what they do is they make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and they distribute them downtown to all the homeless people. That's kind of like one of their outings. But from all that, I mean, it's attracting people. So yeah, because people are lonely and they're looking for something that's spiritual. So I think it's a good time for us to expand. Yes.
There's some other quick fact about
Factoids.
the vegan diet. And it's interesting how we are, in ISKCON, are kind of catering to the vegans. But it says here, the average age for vegan in the United States is 42. 74% of these people are 42 years of age or are female and not religious.
Mm.
No interest in religion.
Interesting.
And female interest in it.
42 and older.
Yeah. And then it says here that the political orientation is 14% conservative, 52% liberal. And Christian, 34%, Jewish, 3%, Buddhist, 9%, other religions, 7%, and not interested in religion, 47%. Or do not practice.
Mm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And also it says that only 53% of the people who try vegetarian or veganism last for less than 1 year. And after 8 years, there's 8 million people in the United States that are no longer practicing, and only 1.4 million remaining.
Oh, so they try it, but they fail.
They give up, yeah.
That's why Prabhupada wanted the restaurants. He said if you give them the restaurants with the, paneer sabji or whatever, he said samosa.
Make under 50 grand a year.
Oh yeah,
Only 1%.
I'm getting pretty detailed there.
Make over 100.
Prabhupada said you give them kachoris and samosas and these different things, and then he said they'll forget about all the other food. So that's what Prabhupada wanted. Pakoras.
And why are they vegan? What is the number one reason?
Health.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then taste, and then animal protection.
All right, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.